Hello students, I am A.K. Dubedi. Welcome to part 1 of our metals and non-metals series. Today we are going to talk about metals and non-metals. We know that metals and non-metals play a very important role in class 10th. Basically, metals and non-metals are responsible for entire chemical reactions, properties of metals, properties of non-metals, and balancing of ionic equation, balancing of molecular equation is only possible due to metals and non-metals. So, today the learning objective of this chapter is recall physical and chemical properties of metals and non-metals, explain the reasons behind difference in properties like state, metallic luster, malleability, ductility, conductivity, density, melting and boiling points, sonority, and identify everyday materials as metals or non-metals and justify classifications like use of metals and non-metals in our everyday life. Compare and contrast physical and chemical properties of metals and non-metals. Judge why certain metals are chosen for a specific process. For example, copper for wire. Design a simple chart showing a difference between metals and non-metals with example. This one is very important for the preparation of examination. So, first of all, I am going to explain the metals. So, metals are the elements that are typically hard, shiny, malleable and ductile with good conductor of heat and electricity. They have a tendency to lose electrons and form cations. Metals loses 1, 2 and 3 electrons because we know that metals are those they contain 1, 2 and 3 electrons in outermost shell, and they have a tendency to lose electrons to acquire stability and form cations. Similarly, non-metals are the elements that lack of properties of metals and are usually poor conductor of heat and electricity. They have tendency to gain electrons and form anions. So, we know that non-metals are those they contain 5, 6 and 7 electrons in outermost shell, and those they contain 8 electrons in outermost shell are known as noble gas, and those they contain 4 electrons like carbon, silicon, germanium, tin and lead, they are metals as well as non-metals. Carbon is a typical non-metals in chemistry. Then I am going to explain some properties of metals, and this is very important. First of all, try to understand the properties of metals, then we are able to differentiate between metals and non-metals. The first property of chemistry is luster, the property of metals by which they have a shiny appearance when freshly cut or polished. Number 2 is hardness, the properties of metals by which they can resist deformation and scratching. Number 3 is malleability, is very important properties of metals, the property of metals by which they can be beaten, hammered or rolled into a thin sheet without breaking. Next property is ductility, the property of metals by which they can be drawn or stretched into a wire. Thermal and electrical conductivity means the ability of a material to allow the flow of heat and electricity respectively. Then sonority, the properties of metals by which they produce a ringing sound when struck on a hard surface. So, luster, hardness, malleability, ductility, thermal and electrical conductivity and sonority are a tool by which we can easily differentiate between metals and non-metals. So, first point of differentiation is state of elements. State of elements means the metals are usually solid. Total solid metals are 90, liquid metal is 1, that is exception at room temperature. Cesium and gallium are liquid on palm temperature, means when cesium and gallium in is taken on a palm, they are melt because they gain energy from the thermostat. And non-metals are usually not solid, only total non-metals are 20, in which solid non-metals are 8, liquid non-metal is 1 and gaseous non-metal is 11. Then point of difference number 2, malleability. So, nowadays in examination questions are coming to differentiate metals and non-metals on the basis of malleability, sometime on the basis of ductility, sometime on the basis of sonority. So, in 1 marker question, how to define or differentiate between metals and non-metals. So, malleability, we know that gold is the most malleable metals, followed by silver, and zinc is a non-malleable and brittle, and non-metals are non-malleable and brittle. The next point is ductility. Gold is the most ductile metal, and zinc, mercury, gallium, sodium, potassium and calcium are non-ductile. Non-metals are generally non-ductile. Then conductivity of metals. Metals are good conductor of heat and electricity. Why? Because due to presence of free electrons and ions. So, there are 2 types of conductivity. One is metallic conductivity. The cause of metallic conductivity is free electrons, and cause of electrical conductivity is free ions. So, metals are good conductor of heat and electricity. Aqueous solution of sodium chloride conduct electricity due to free ions, but solid metals in which the supply of electricity takes place is due to flow of electrons. So, best conductor is silver, copper, gold, and non-metals are bad conductor of heat and electricity due to absence of free electrons. Exception, graphite, that is not a non-metal, but graphite is an allotrope of carbon. We know carbon have a 2 allotrope, one is graphite and one is diamond. Graphite is soft and diamond is hard. So, what is the application of non-metals? In making insulators. Insulators are those they not allowed to pass electric current. And applications of metals, those they are good conductor, used in making electrical wire, cooking utensils. The next point is density. So, metals have generally high density and non-metals have low density. Exception, sodium, potassium, calcium and magnesium are soft and they have low density. Then melting and boiling point. Generally metals have high melting and boiling point and non-metals have low melting and boiling point. Exceptions in metal like lithium, sodium, potassium have low melting point because they are soft, because the force of attraction or metallic bond is very less. Exception in case of non-metal, graphite and diamond have very high melting point. These are the exception because they are the allotropic form of carbon. Then applications. Metals in making materials that can be stand with high temperature such as engines, turbines, etc. Tungsten is used in making bulb filament. And classification or differentiation between metals and non-metals on the basis of sonority. Metals are sonorous and non-metals are non-sonorous. Application of sonority of metals is used in making bells, tuning frogs and musical instruments. Then hardness. So, we know that metals are generally very hard and non-metals are soft. But chemistry is the full of exceptions. Some non-metals are very soft, like sodium, potassium, lithium are so soft cut with a knife. Exception, it is used in making machinery parts and protective surface. And in case of non-metal, diamond is the hardest naturally occurring substance. So, on the basis of properties, we are able to differentiate metals and non-metals on the basis of physical properties. Again, I am going to point out the terms. Number one is state, metallic luster, malleability, ductility, conductivity, that is metallic conductivity and electrical conductivity, density, melting and boiling point, and sonority. Then I am going to explain some facts about natural elements. This is very, very important for the objective question. Total number of elements in entire periodic table till known according to International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry, that is 118, in which natural elements are 90, synthetic elements are 28, metals 91, non-metals 20, metalloids 7, and total element becomes 118. Gaseous non-metals are 11, liquid non-metal 1, solid non-metal 8, and total is 20. Then some more facts which are generally used in examination by question paper setter, which one is most malleable, which have high melting and boiling point, what is the use of copper, what is the use of silver. So, first point, gold can be shaped into chains and rings due to high malleability. We know that nowadays Gem and Jewelry Promotion Council of India earn more and more money because of conversion of different types of metals. In this case, gold can be shaped into chains and rings due to high malleability. 1 gram of gold can be drawn into wire of about 2 kilometer length due to high ductility. Sodium and potassium cannot be drawn into wire because they are soft metals. Sodium and potassium are so soft cut with a knife. Silver and copper are best conductor of heat. They conduct heat and electricity both. Metals that can be used in thermometer other than mercury is gallium. Iodine is the only non-metal having metallic luster. Graphite have also metallic luster, but graphite is not a non-metal. Graphite is an allotrope of carbon, but in examination iodine is the only non-metal having metallic luster, and bromine is the only liquid non-metal, and mercury is liquid metal at room temperature. Gallium and cesium melts when we take on palm. So, in next class I am going to explain the difference between chemical properties of metals and non-metals. Thanks for watching.